Hi Gary.
Morning.
What situation is the house in now?
So the current situation with the house is, it's, as most people have seen that have come on a visit, it's continued to deteriorate. So the house, although we've stabilised it, so we put a lot of safety measures just to try and protect it from getting any worse. The house won't last forever. It's in a pretty precarious situation. In terms of, if the question was where are we with the process of planning, we're now just passing the 3-year mark with the planners. We've had the application in for now more than a year. The original application has been changed a number of times. It started off, as people know, at quite a big scheme of 247 units, largely because we were asked to prepare what the conservation people call is a grand restoration. So that's an all singing, all dancing, conservation-led restoration. That was costed up at about £16 million. I think people quickly realised after that would result in too many buildings, too many new houses, too much footprint taken beyond what was originally consented for the hotel. So what we've done mainly with the Conservation Officer, Historic England, the Planning Department of Hounslow, we've spent the last year and a half refining that to we're now currently down to under 200 units, more compact, at the request of the council and the GLA. So they're more apartments than houses. The original request was more houses than we've ended up with, and that's largely to bring the development footprint back in towards where the hotel consent was, so take up the minimum amount of land. In the process of that, basically should yield or should give about 10 acres of regenerated, redeveloped amenity parkland, which all gets opened up. So I would say we all thought we were in a pretty good place with the planners about a year ago, which I think was echoed by the local councillors at the recent area forum, where we were told that they were fully supportive, we were on the right track. This was something that absolutely they wanted the house to be restored and saved. Now, clearly they've then turned 180 degrees on that in the last 3 or 4 months, for whatever reason we're not quite sure, largely because we get a different reason every time we speak to them, so they're not very consistent. But we are due to go to a planning committee, we think in the next 2 or 3 months. It will be with a reduced scheme, which people do the consultation on, so everybody will see that and have the opportunity to opine on it. So it'll be different from what was first put in. It'll still result in a pretty fantastic restoration of the house, which we think it's about £11 million now of restoration. And then hopefully at some point that's the scheme that we'll get through committee. We'll still have some challenges which we're trying to sort out, because we'll then need the mayor and the GLA to be supportive of that. And then if that goes ahead, we will be looking to effectively hoard the site up, scaffold the house, cover it and wrap it, and then try and dry it out for a year or two. So that's a long answer to a short question.
Excellent. I've got another question. How do you feel the local community is supporting you? We've had a few tours, and the last one I think attracted up to 200 people.
Yeah, it's tough, and I don't want to sound patronising or condescending. I was talking to somebody earlier about this. It's been actually pretty heartwarming. I've been astonished because we've had a huge amount of support from the local community, of which of course there will be people who don't want homes built in their backyards, and they want the house, well, I don't know whether they want the house to be left as is. There will always be people who want the house restored but nothing else done, which is just not possible at all because of just the sheer cost involved. I've been just, stupidly impressed with, lucky enough to be invited onto the Hanworth Park Facebook group. The house is without a doubt the most iconic heritage asset in the area, and I can fully understand why people want it saved. It's been really nice. We've done a number of these projects. It's been nice for me just to see how much people really care about the house. Yeah, so I've really enjoyed it.
What should we touch on?
Well, a lot of people are still in the dark over what the plans are for the house. So we still get questions now. Probably the easiest answer to that is we've always had the same plan. So the two original consents for the house over the last 20 years have both been for hotels. They've both been utterly unviable and impractical, not particularly well costed. I do quite a bit of work with people who build hotels. It's highly unlikely that this house will ever get converted into a hotel, if for no other reason that current hoteliers build new hotels for a fraction of the cost of what it would cost just to restore the house here. So we had looked at it when we first looked at buying the house. Our plans have always been the same. They tend to be the same for most enabling development schemes of listed heritage assets that are in disrepair. The only way to effectively finance the restoration costs is through housing. It's the most cost efficient. That's what we started off with. Actually, the council had proposed residential housing in 1993 after the old people's home closed. So we think housing is the only solution. Clearly what we've done is we've tried to find a balance between a large part of the house being available to the public, all of the parkland being available to the public. Ideally we'd like to see some kind of heritage museum, some heritage trails, a pop-up cafe. I think we've budgeted for about 10,000 square feet of community space, which will be available most of it all of the time. Probably the grand ballroom will be the only thing that will need to get booked, and some of the rooms that will be function rooms. The rest of it, people will be able to come and go. In the area that's currently fenced off is about 7 acres, so all of that will get opened back up and connected back into the park. So ours is, it's 13-14 apartments in the house. It's put the enabling housing in the best place on the site, which we think is the place, in the same place that actually the conservation officer feels it's best screened, and actually doesn't detract from the house. So we've always been housing, and I think that's actually the only solution that will save the house.
Okay. Last but not least, should we go inside and show people who are watching it today what it looks like now?
Yeah, we should definitely try and get as much footage so people can appreciate the condition it's in.